Cast.
Recording and streaming
fast.
simultaneously. I
Woo.
don't know where it's recording to, but I'm sure I'll find out. Hopefully it's a disc with a lot of space on it. Hey, everybody.
Hello, world. It's three middle-aged guys. We're here to tell you our opinions.
And we're all
Yeah,
white,
what
so
the
you
world
know
needs.
they're dynamite.
You know, these are some winners.
You can't find opinions like these anywhere else on the internet. Hey, guys, it's Triple Radio. It's Tim. It's David Swees.
Hey,
But hey,
guys.
we've been doing Triple Radio for like 15 years. Wait, that's too long.
It is. It's time. Goodbye.
Yeah, that's too long. No, it's just short of 15 years, I believe. I think we started in 08 was whenever Speed Racer came out.
Yep.
You know, that's the...
That's the way. Best movie
We
of 08.
just had to tell the internet our opinions about Speed Racer.
Well, you know, at the time,
Yeah, rightly so. I'm not arguing against it.
Yeah. But at the time, you know, it wasn't a cliche, I guess.
Yeah.
Podcasts were still fairly new and fresh, and not everybody and their mom had one. So we are better than everyone that came after. So that's it.
We are better than everyone that came
Yeah,
after.
just the
I was
easiest thing to do.
still listening to podcasts on an iPod at that time.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have
if-
never
think.
done that.
I don't remember. I
I
definitely
had one of the
was
little
still
tiny
using
flat ones.
an iPod at that time. I believe I still had the one I got from Fortuna. Maybe I had a iPod Touch for a period when I was too much of a coward to just get an iPhone, but I wanted iOS apps.
Yeah, I've
That's what
still
we
never
did
had
too.
an
We got a touch first. I still have it.
What is this? What's going on? Something shipped. Whatever.
Here's an OG iPod Touch in a handsome leather case.
app.
Okay. Yeah. No, yeah. So, yeah, we're back a few weeks later. Had some COVID in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we-
Tim, you had a little COVID there. I
just
know
a
we
little bit.
just chit-chatted about it
Yeah.
a little bit, but yeah, how you didn't feel too terrible, yes?
Not at all. As I told people at work, is I almost missed it. I feel like if I had not gone up and gone grocery shopping Sunday morning, I would not have noticed that I was feeling a little like bone sore.
Yeah.
And I might have just hung out on the couch, and it was a hot day. I might have not even noticed I had a fever.
Bone sore feels like the
Just
word
achy.
bone saw
Yeah.
in a weird colloquial accent.
just
like
achy.
like Cornish.
Like, why am I-
oi, go and get the bone saw,
Yeah.
and we'll just saw his arm off.
Yeah.
I was thinking Welsh. Yeah.
Oi, yeah, right. Well, Welsh.
But yeah,
It'd be Welsh as well.
Saturday of that weekend, me and the family went to get a taste of buffalo, and we went and got a taste.
Oh, that's where you think you got it?
No. If anything, that's where I thought I would have shared it with my family, because we were sharing foods. With me thinking I didn't have COVID because I had tested negative that day and the day before, just thinking I had some old allergies, as I usually do towards the end of July. No, I actually think I got it from work, just given the timeline, which is absurd to say when I went to AEW Dynamite. That seems like the more likely place where I would have gotten it, but just like the timing of it, I think it was actually a little bit sooner than that. So, but
Well,
in the
that's
end, you don't you'll never know.
that's your AEW crowd.
There's,
Vaccinated, well protected.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Spitz was sitting right next to me, Dan Spitz. He didn't get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, the reality is there's no such thing as contact tracing, so you'll never know.
Yep. Our
So,
numbers are horribly low. It's great.
yeah, you just won't know. But yeah, so I had to go out and do the grocery shopping on Sunday, where normally I do that on Saturday, and I was just like, oh man, I feel like kind of crap. I'll take another test, and that was the one that was positive, and it was reassuring to know that the tests work. Honestly,
yeah.
having
Well,
taken
which test ended up on that one?
how the what?
Which test was that? A PCR or was that the home
This was
test?
there was a home test, and home antigen
Oh.
test. Having done many of those over the course of the last year and a half, it felt like at work and at home, I was just like, man, they're always negative. Like, I kind
Well,
of
because they don't show up until
yeah. But I was getting tested regularly. Like, they had testing available at work, so I was getting that done pretty much every week, if not twice a week sometimes. And
That's-
doing them at home and just kind of wondering, like, well, I feel like crap, but it says it's negative. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. No, I've been doing it right the whole time. I just didn't have COVID until that one time. Because boy, does that line show the fuck up. There was no question. I'm just like, after... they say wait 10, 15 minutes. Like, no, it was like after a minute. I'm like, oh, no, there it is. It's right fucking there. You can't miss it. But yeah, if I had just been chilling on that Sunday morning playing games, might not have noticed. I had a slight fever in the afternoon. It was a really hot day. Might not have noticed, and just gone on with my life, just blowing COVID across my entire workplace, not realizing something was amiss. But, I tested, and it was like, oh, there's some COVID. I guess I'm going to shack up in this room here. And, and hang out away from my family and not go to work. That was a week. But yeah, it's definitely... Dave, you could probably relate. Like, the bigger issue with COVID is that, like, it makes dealing with children a pain in the ass.
Fucking possible.
It
sucks.
Sucks.
That's the real. That's the real pain in the ass of it, because you've got these you've got little humans who need care, and you, like, for safety reasons cannot get near them. It's the worst.
Yeah, there's no handoff. So that Sunday, like, Lauren was at work, and I was just like, okay, buddy, you're going to hang out here in the living room and just do whatever you want to do with that TV and that Switch. Have a good time. You know where the snacks are, man. You're good. Just, you got to hang on for a few hours. I'm right here if you need something. You're good. But then it was like, Monday, Wednesday, he was out of the house at camp. So that wasn't bad. And, well, it's just, it's a daycare, but...
okay. It sounds like anything but camp when you do that. That's the one thing I know.
And, Lauren took him to the Strong Museum on Tuesday, but Thursday was definitely like her being, I am done being around this child nonstop at every moment when he needs me. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Just even being able to do that little handoff. But, we made it through, and... Yeah. Fortunately, it wasn't bad. I think, well, assuming she doesn't have it right now, and didn't get it from me at the very, very tail end of when I may or may not have been contagious.
So the timing would have had to have been just perfect, right? Like, you would have been nearly all better and probably not contagious when she... Yeah,
like, she would have had to pick it up for me basically when I was testing negative, pretty much. It's just like the last little COVID cell must have just been like, if she got it from me, but she could have gotten it from work, she could have gotten it from somewhere else. Who knows? There's no such thing as.
And that's extreme. If you were actually testing negative, that's as far as I'm aware, that's extremely unlikely, because even when you're no longer sick, you can continue to test positive. And so if you were actually testing negative, then I doubt she got it from you.
Me too, but who knows? You just don't know when it just you just don't know. You don't know.
My oldest went to a sleepover yesterday, and right before she left the house, I was like, "Let's give you a COVID test, just in case." And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, I guess that's responsible." I'm like, "Well, it's more if it's for deniability." Like, if somehow someone else at this sleepover gets COVID, we can honestly tell someone, "Well, we did a test, so you didn't get it from us."
Yeah, but
it's a polite parent thing to do now.
Yeah, but my thinking assumed that neither of them got COVID at this point, which we're just about out of the woods, maybe. They both got boosted in the spring, and my last booster was in like November, so that might have been the difference maker. It's just like more recent booster shot. Who knows?
Yeah.
But at the very least, like, actually having COVID was much easier than the side effects I got from the boosters. Shots 2 and 3, I was wrecked for a day, just one day, and then I felt fine. And COVID was just like, I barely even knew it was here. So getting shots, probably a good idea.
All previous boosters have wrecked me, but I just got number 4 in June, I think, and nothing. So I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. Maybe it gets easier with the more of those antibodies you get. I don't know.
Let's know when I'm eligible for 4 here at this point. But
I'm hoping it'll be like the
just do it.
The,
just
the
do
variant
it.
booster of the fall that's supposedly coming.
They don't check that shit.
That's the
I'm like what Tim's saying. I'm kind of waiting. Like, if I can wait for the one in the fall that would be a little stronger for BA5 would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, just something.
It depends when.
But
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, just sitting around gave you time to consume some media. Well,
Ooh.
somewhat. Yeah. So that's a transition right there.
Anything? Yeah.
Do it.
That was expertly done.
Yeah.
I know we've been doing this for 15 years, but I think that was maybe the smoothest transition into let's talk about games that I've ever heard. I say bravo.
Minutes to pat ourselves on the back for the transition itself, thereby negating the transition.
Just destroying the presence of the transition. All right, yeah, you look at that spreadsheet I had open. I just realized I don't have any means of seeing if there is a chat going on right now, so I should probably open that up. Yeah, no, I do wish I had watched some Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I wish I consumed enough media that I needed a spreadsheet to keep track of it.
No.
Exactly
That's my spreadsheet for keeping track of my reviews that I had open.
I have one now for games because I play them so infrequently I forget what I've played.
Very good. Okay, good. No one's watching. Perfect.
Ideal.
Anyway,
I gotta scratch my balls.
Just what I wanted. I'm not missing anything. Fantastic. Yeah. Someone's texting me. Yeah, no, I didn't. Unfortunately, I didn't really. I got my hands on the episodes. I just have not watched them because I'm a moron and didn't feel like plugging the HDMI from my computer into the TV that's in this room and just setting up a playlist to do Strange New Worlds. I don't know. It's yeah. I don't.
Yeah. Did you get? I got Paramount Plus for 99 cents on Prime Day. Is how I'm watching it. Yeah, I like because there were a whole bunch of Amazon will let you add on a whole bunch of streaming services for 99 cents for like 2 months. So got Paramount Plus so I can watch Strange New Worlds. What else did I got? I got Showtime because I kind of want to check out Vanessa Bayer's new comedy. I love That For You, which it's not reviewing great, but she's on the podcast circuit and everyone seems pretty complimentary about it, and I think she's great.
It's supposed to be very good too.
Yes, I'm going to take advantage of. Yeah, I'm going to watch that little film, as well. But well, as long as we're on the subject, Weiss, would you like to do a little Strange New Worlds gab?
I mean, yeah,
some spoiler free.
Right. I mean, I'm just. I
mean, hopefully in a month I will have actually watched a bunch of it, but I set myself up. Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not going to add much because I think I touched on it last time, but very much. The show is working, and I don't think they I don't think CBS understands why. I don't think CBS understands why this is the one show. They just announced a crossover with Lower Decks. It's Comic-Con, which fine, whatever. I don't love Lower Decks.
Do we know what that means yet? Does that mean that these Strange New Worlds characters are going to be on Lower Decks? Because that's fine, whatever.
Yeah, I know it's hybrid animation. That's all I know. I didn't read into it because I've only watched the first episode of Lower Decks. So,
okay.
I mean, I'll probably check it out. But I very much am enjoying just about everybody on Strange New Worlds, and that's kind of something I missed on, especially with Next Generation DS9. It's like any combination of people. Like your favorite episodes could be just Jules and Qualmini going off and having a chat sort of thing, and that's the kind of thing that all these I feel like Discovery had it with a few characters, but it was always when it cuts to characters that I'm less interested in, then I drop off of the show in the middle of the second season.
Well, I think, honestly, Doug Jones is kind of the only actor on Discovery that ever made it work for me, and I think the difference is that I was also thinking that wow, I really like these characters on Strange New Worlds, and I like them because they're actual fucking human beings and not just a collection of dialogue that feels engineered to let the writers sort of write to whatever sort of monologue they think will sound cool and badass. That's the what drove me crazy about the writing on Discovery and Picard is that the writing felt so goddamn sophomoric. Like these idiots just wanted their characters to have these grand speeches that sounded cool, and they didn't care how they got there. They didn't care if it didn't make sense for the character. They didn't care about character building. They didn't care about giving the characters personalities. They just engineered the plot to put characters in these situations where they could have these little tennis matches of dialogue or these impressive monologues that sounded cool and badass. And it just was the stupidest fucking thing. No one on either of those shows is a person.
Well, that's the thing is I still thought Tilly and the Doctor were people. Like those were the ones that were like getting me to watch Discovery, where you could have like a couple people having a conversation about science, whatever. But it was so scant. Whereas Strange New Worlds is just I don't know, most of the episode really. And on top of that, they have the freedom to fuck around. Like I won't say what, but the fuck around stuff is so fun and earned.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes. It feels.
It has
I think so. In terms of these characters feeling more real, I always kind of feel like it's in a lot of ways it's 50%. Okay, it's it's 50% casting and it's 50% writing, and like really good casting can save bad writing. But
hey, Tim's out of the room. Do you want to talk about the last episode really quickly?
Oh, I'm not there yet. I'm only halfway through the season. I only just watched episode like 6.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, you just started getting going.
No, I'm only and so I'm still just kind of getting to know these characters and this and this world and their place in the world and how they interact. I love the interactions between like Nurse Chapel and Spock, because they're not coming right out and saying anything, but they're like behaving the way real people do, which is not how they wrote Discovery and Picard.
And it's partially writing and it's partially, I mean, it's the same shit that Marvel runs into, where it's just like it's cutting out that stuff to get to plot. It's going like people want to see plot and everything services plot versus Strange New Worlds. It almost I'm going to draw the weird analogy just because I've been watching a lot of Farscape. One of the things that I've been rewatching that I enjoy about Farscape is it's so clear that nobody was paying attention to it. And I feel like Strange New Worlds gets the same benefit, where they're like, well, people are watching Picard because it has everybody you remember ever. Yeah. So we're going to actually do this good writing and take some risks. Like, it's a show that's doing things that I don't think that they could get away with, at least on Picard. I feel like Discovery should do some of the things that Strange New Worlds is doing.
I mean, it sure could have had. Discovery had a chance to do a lot of what Strange New Worlds is doing. I think one of the key here's a key pillar for me is Anson Mount. Like,
yes,
which he is a fucking rock.
Well, and there's so many people: Anson Mount, Nurse Chapel, Spock being in there. Any legacy people. I didn't expect. That's the expectations were like, oh, these are going to be my least favorite parts of the show.
Yes,
and then they just like knock it out of the box. Yeah.
Oh, so the legacy casting, the recasting those old roles, like that was such a precarious thing, and how they got so lucky that they nailed it for everyone kind of boggles my mind. But I think the biggest magic trick that they're pulling off here is that Anson Mount's Captain Pike does a very similar magic trick to what Din Djarin does for the Boba Fett archetype. Like, because so on the Mandalorian, you didn't watch the Mandalorian.
Yep. I watched 2 episodes.
You watched 2 episodes. All right. Well, so having a stand-in for Boba Fett on Mandalorian.
Boba Fett.
Basically, like, this character is Boba Fett in almost everything but name, but because he doesn't have the baggage of the actual character Boba Fett, you can then steer this character in new directions. Anson Mount is so Shatner sometimes, but he's the best parts of Shatner. He's effortlessly charming.
See, I think like that's what I liked the most, because that's when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh man, they're just doing Kirk. But what I like is that he's proven himself different than Kirk to me.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah. But he's working from the Kirk template. It's like Kirk with all of Picard's best moral impulses.
I had that same conversation at some, like, maybe not. I think he gets to be goofier than Kirk, but Kirk is reckless, and you can get like comedy out of that. But Pike isn't reckless.
He's not reckless. He is as goofy as Kirk got in the later movies, which was just sort of off the cuff, just a little quick little quip.
I'm gonna go mountain climbing with a rocket pack.
Yeah. I'm gonna go. Yeah, exactly. It's reductive to say that Captain Pike is like the woke Kirk. But the minute I heard him say something like in an episode, he said radical empathy. Let's practice radical empathy. I'm like, he's a woke Kirk.
So just having a conversation about empathy, where like we're talking about all of these like fun things, but also they can just have a hallway conversation about empathy, and it actually
And the reason why that is so important, I think, is because it is the thing that makes this quote unquote feel like Star Trek. When Discovery aired, I thought that what I wanted was something that didn't necessarily feel. I was fine with something that didn't feel like Star Trek. But it wasn't well written. So I was like, well, this is a pain in the ass to watch anyway. Right. But what makes this feel like Star Trek is because they're really focused on the egalitarian ideals. These are what makes it Trek is we're a utopian society with these egalitarian ideals, and we're going to be morally challenged every week, and let's see what we do with it.
Right. Versus we have an idea, I think like better or worse, it's honestly some of the problems I have with Rogue One, where it's like it feels like somebody that had a clever world building idea but didn't the rest. Sort of thing. Yeah.
So they're Jesus Christ.
It's good work. That's all I can say is like episode to episode. I'm so excited for season 2.
Yeah, it's all out at this point. Is it 10 episodes?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 episodes. Yeah.
All right.
Talk about the end.
All right.
Did either of you guys watch Picard season 2?
No.
Okay.
I'm curious. I have a morbid curiosity about it, believe me. Sure. But it's hard for me to want to commit 10 hours of my life to the kind of shit that I saw in season 1.
There's just so much. Even right now, but I don't think I don't know. I've gone back and
I hated it. It made me angry.
The last episode made me angry.
It did end poorly. Yes.
It ended very poorly. I know it's sad. I want to see clips, but I'm not interested in watching the season.
Yeah, no, I was just curious if you'd even deign to watch an episode. I feel like, I ain't heard anybody say shit about season 2. It might as well not even exist. I have the steady beat of some people being like, you should check out Discovery, and some people being like, you should watch Lower Decks, and I'm like, no way. And then obviously
I liked Lower Decks. Let me just say I liked Lower Decks. Yeah. It's kind of a Rick and Morty knockoff that doesn't push as hard, but I thought it was fine.
I feel like I'll probably
didn't land.
But the one that I do I really kind of do want to go back to Discovery now and at least watch the episodes where the Strange New Worlds crew appears, because the new show references with knowledge of the original series gives me enough to go on. Obviously, I know what they're talking. We all know about Captain Pike and his scarred fate in this wheelchair. But I do want to see what happens on Discovery that paints our way to the references to that on the show. So,
that's interesting. No, I heard that it picked up by 3 or 4. I don't remember what they're on, but I heard that 2 was kind of atrocious, and then it kind of improved in ways. But it's it's honestly how I felt about a lot of RPGs where it's just sort of like, yeah, give it 12 hours, and I'm just
yeah, I ain't got that. No.
right.
You got to give it a couple seasons. No, I will not give it a couple seasons.
Yeah.
I will not. I refuse. Well, things I will. Okay, so to veer back into games and things I've been getting into. So I started. So this could go two ways, into things I know I won't like or things that I know I won't finish, or both. Yeah. So I started while during COVID-teen. I did slip out of the living room during
Drink
the
your
day.
COVID-teen.
When I did slip out to the living room on the days when no one was around, and I started playing Last of Us Part 2, which...
Yeah, never...
Yeah. Dave, you really liked Last of Us Part 1, didn't you? Or did you never play
I
it?
really did, 10 years ago.
I
Yeah, 10 years ago it was one of my faves.
No, I mean, I really liked the story of Last of Us, but I was kind of done with playing it by the time... Well, a bit before I was done playing it. And that's kind of been my thing with Naughty Dog games, I, really dug Uncharted 2, and then have become increasingly... And I don't want to shit on Last of Us 1, because I did really like it, and I played through the whole thing, and I mostly didn't have too much issue with it until, the last third. I was getting kind of sick of playing it.
You might remember I put the game down for a year because of gameplay, specifically.
Yeah. No, but it's like, I went into Uncharted 4, and I stopped playing it, halfway through. I'm just like, I can't, they are so good with their performance capture and their dialogue and their story stuff, and I just can't deal with playing the games to get to the end of them. And just hearing about Last of Us 2, perhaps as unnecessary a sequel as anything has ever gotten, and just kind of inferring about where the story went and hearing about how the gameplay hadn't really changed, I was like, and also hearing about how it's fucking long. I was just
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
Well, I'll never play that.
Yeah, well, it's I get somewhere 20, 25, maybe 30 hours. And I'll kind of get into that. I'm just like, this just doesn't sound like something I'm gonna make it through. But I get in there, and it has a kind of a lengthy setup sequence to kick off the story, and then you get going on kind of the main thrust of it. And I'm having an okay time. I like the parts where I'm just kind of exploring. You go to Seattle and you're kind of dropped in there, and after a little bit of linear stuff, it kind of opens up and you're able to just kind of ride your horse around and go into buildings and do some stuff, and it's kind of cool, and their graphical prowess is very good.
Sure.
The environments look great, and riding around and you're talking with your companion and whatnot. But after playing a bit, right around hour 6 is when I started being like, how much more of this game is there? And then I noticed, I'm just like, okay, well, there's not that much more with Ellie, but then you play a ton more with an entire other character. That is a thing in this game, is you switch perspectives as to who you're playing as, and kind of relive the events of these 3 days in Seattle from another character's perspective, and I'm just like,
Right.
There is no chance in hell I could get to the end of the Ellie stuff. There is no chance in hell I'm going through it with this other character, and then what's and then after that there's more. After you do all that stuff, then there's an epilogue, and these are things I heard people kind of talking about, just man, this game goes on. Did they really need to do all this stuff with the other character? Did they really need to drag out this epilogue to get this point across? Did they really need to do all this stuff? But it's just I heard all this stuff about how oh man, they really improved the gameplay and gave you all these options, and man, I feel like it was the same stuff. I sat there and tuned down the difficulty too, just so I could kind of breeze. But I'm still just man, stealthing around and crafting shit, even though I'm finding a lot of crafting materials. But I heard people had a lot to say about the controls in Metroid Dread and how there was a lot of them. There was also a lot of controls in Last of Us 2, in that just where your weapons are, what does dodge, and it's okay, what do I have equipped at this time, and what I was fumbling with controls a lot in that game. did not feel terribly intuitive, and it took me a while. Like, how the hell do I reload? And it turns out you just press the fire button when you're not aiming, which is how no game does that.
What?
Yeah.
The weirdest thing.
I would never think of doing that.
Dry fire? Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because normally in a game it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna kind of that's shooting from the hip. You don't have time to aim, so you just shoot from the hip. No, that's reload in Last of Us Part 2, and I'm just like, why is that? And dodge is over on a shoulder button where I incessantly think it's going to be on circle because of Dark Souls. That's just how that is. But yeah, predictably, I got a few hours into the game, and I'm like, yeah, I'm probably never going back to that.
So not gonna pick up the remaster then, I guess.
No, I mean, I did not need to replay that first game at all. I thought, it was good once through, but I'm not lusting to go through the gameplay again. Will I watch the show on HBO? Yeah, probably.
I will because of the writer on that and everything I've heard.
Because then you are removing the gameplay from the Last of Us equation, which is the part I like the least. So,
right,
that could be good.
Last of Us was only my second Naughty Dog game, so for me at that time it was actually still pretty novel.
Yeah.
But that said, even by my second Naughty Dog narrative adventure, I could tell that okay, so this is how they do things. Mm-hmm. By the end of it, I was pretty done, and that's why I never picked up Uncharted 2, because I played Uncharted 1 and then Last of Us, and I was like, yeah, I know everyone says Uncharted 2 is great, but I don't know if I want to do this again.
Uncharted 2, I had less trouble gameplay wise than Last of Us. At least,
okay, and it's not trouble. It's just sort of the loop. Here's what this loop. All right, let's do some platform. Let's do some environmental stuff. And now here's a shooting gallery. And now here's a stealth section. And
and that carries over. And it's like one of something that's been annoying me since Uncharted 1 with these games. And mind you, my favorite Naughty Dog game is still the first Jak and Daxter. But it's like you'll go into one of these rooms and enemies will just pour in from the holes in the ceiling or the wall. They just keep coming in. It's just like, guys, how many do you really fucking need here? How much? Oh, okay. My wife's home. I heard dogs growl, freaking out. Okay, now you could probably hear them. But yeah, and that just drove me nuts in Uncharted. It's just like as soon as I was in it,
Uncharted.
Just guys pouring into the room. And in Uncharted 3, and I didn't. It's like a lot of what happened in Uncharted 2, I just didn't think about or see that stuff as much. It just didn't bother me, but it bothered me in 3 and 4 and Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2. To the credit of Part 2, you can do something which I don't recall you ever being able to do in the first one, is that you can actually just stealth past encounters from time to time. Because I felt in the first one, there was constantly some door or shelf that you had to take a second to move, and you couldn't leave the area until you shot everybody, killed everyone. In this, there's actually some encounters where you can actually just sneak by and go on, and that's good. That's very good. So I do appreciate that about it. But am I going to finish it? Nah, I don't think so.
Nah.
Should be as fun as the rest of the game. In theory, Naughty Dog should have gone. Why is that the hard part of this? Should have been we're very good at this part. Let's improve this other part. And they went no, we're just going to concentrate on the cinematic side of things.
Yeah, well, I mean, some people love the gameplay, so.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it sells.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's why I paid $10 for the game, if that. It was super cheap, so I was like, okay. I feel I'll probably get my few hours worth out of this.
There you go.
There you go.
$10 worth of COVID-addled entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tried to go back to Tunic, which I did. I played another hour and a half, 2 hours, and then I was like, no.
What is up with that? Because I've only seen the trailer, and the trailer is charming.
So I think it's just that I don't like. Well, I don't like the gameplay. The game is charming, but the actual combat, I do okay until I get into. And this, I got to a point where I just turned off dying in the game.
I wish I could do that in many games.
Yes, yes. I'm glad it's there. There's a no fail mode where you just can just not die. But even then, just playing through the combat, I was just like, no, I don't. It's just that is the part that's not fun for me. Like especially when I would hit like a boss battle, it would just drive me nuts because I would just feel like, from the perspective that the game is at, it's like I was having a tough time judging like the distance of my sword swings or dodges. I was having a lot of trouble with that stuff. So like every boss battle, which are long, lengthy battles, they are not fast. Like, was just driving me nuts. It was just like, I just can't with this. But I kind of get, personally, I just get tired of like the game's trickery with that it does with its perspective all the time, with the way that it is constantly hiding paths in places you can't see because you can't rotate the camera. And it's kind of it's clever once or twice
but
and it's always like the shortcut back is like you'll go through like a little side tunnel that's obviously you'll pop back out like, oh, this is haha, you got me again. But it happens so many times, I'm just like bitter about it. But yeah, the whole like look of the game and the story, and a lot of it is very charming. I just found playing it to be an exhausting endeavor, unfortunately.
Bummer.
I'm kind of wondering if I'll fire it up again and just close out like the last bit of it, because I don't think I have very much more. Like after another 2 months away from it, and I'm playing it on Game Pass, so I have no financial investment in the game. So yeah, the joys.
I guess
of
Game
Pass.
Transition on that one is certainly better, but I'm just really bored with the combat in 13 Sentinels. Like, the writing is great. The UI is great. All the atmosphere is really good, but is it enough to keep me going? And because every time I get into combat, I'm just like, okay, I'll do one of the 4 things. If I have to move, it's kind of boring. It's just kind of like a drag where I just want to get back to like the story parts. Sort of thing.
There was a lot of people
that's such a bummer.
Opinion. That seems like
I
feel like most people didn't like the combat in the game. I liked it, but most people
It's
seem to
not
just
like,
turn it down to easy and just get through it.
It's not like atrocious. It's just one of those things where I'm like, if I'm mentally sitting down for a game, I want that satisfaction of the gameplay as well. Like, if I just want the story, I'm putting a movie on, sort of thing.
Sure.
So.
No, that's the one I hate that so much. If you're sitting down to a game and you sit down and it's like, well, this is the part of the game that I don't hate it necessarily, but this is the part of the game I just want to get past because it's not the part that's engaging. That's the biggest bummer. Like, I feel like it was 20 years ago I read either some critic in like, maybe it was Simon Poole in Trigger Happy. Maybe it's his axiom about like, you find the thing about your game that is fun and you make sure the player is exposed to it at all times. And that's such a bummer when you have to slog through even it doesn't have to be a part of the game that you hate. It doesn't have to make you be like, oh, I hate this because this part is broken. It doesn't have to be broken. Like, it can just be, I'm just not enjoying this part. It's fine.
Well, it's all gradients, because I guess the easiest comparison is Brutal Legend, right? Because that specifically goes into RTS sections, and I think those are certainly worse than 13 Sentinels, like gameplay wise, but I was so into the game that I could just like blast through them, and I still had fun in those enough to like power through and get to all the other stuff. But I know a lot of people that dropped off because of those.
I always liked those.
I thought they were. I mean, like, there was parts I liked. It's just like every once
Tim's
in a while,
just an RTS guy.
Yeah, I was about to say there is a parallel of weird
I
RTS
like
experiments here. Yes.
Yeah, you played StarCraft Alcoholic. I did not.
Like, yeah, sure, this RTS isn't great, but it's interesting. I'll try it out. Sure, bring it on.
It's a different reward system too, because my anxiety is just like, oh, I don't want things going on. I want to pause. I like, system for that sort of thing. Like FTL, I was just like, no thanks. I respect you. No, thank you. This is going to give me a heart attack.
Yeah, it's a stressful game.
Yeah.
Also, God, sticking to the theme of when gameplay maybe isn't great. So I also decided to try out Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, I keep wanting to try it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is many people speak very, very highly of this game. It seems like more people get into it all the time because they do. They just, you hear, this is the best Final Fantasy game, this is the best Final Fantasy story. You just have to get past that first 150 hours.
Yes, right.
And it's that part. It's like, because they're talking about the content that is just coming out, and
oh man,
there's a path to get there. But beyond that, it's like I have never been all that interested in MMOs. Like I dipped a toe into World of Warcraft like a few years ago because that's free to start, and it was just like, this is just not my shit. Though in fairness, like I already like Final Fantasy 14 more than that toe dipping into World of Warcraft. I mean, mind you, that was like World of Warcraft is an old game. That a lot of even what you're seeing now is built on a game that came out in 2004, 2005, whenever it was, very early MMO, and it looks at and it is that basic MMO shit of just going around and it's like, oh, you got to go kill 5 of these things or go collect 6 of that thing or walk over here and give this to that person. Now, mind you, Final Fantasy 14 still has a lot of those quests, but it's much prettier. It has that just like,
well, that's something.
Yeah, but everything about it, like the character animations look better and the world is more interesting, and just like looks nice overall, and
sometimes that's enough. That helps engagement.
Sometimes that's enough.
Sure.
But it's like when you go into a hub where there's other people and then the world the screen just fills with words because it's people's names hanging over their heads everywhere. And it's very like, how is this immersive for people, this wall of text?
Right.
But, when you're out and about, like outside of those hubs and there's fewer people around, it's like, oh, okay, this is a bit better. But names of creatures are still floating above them and stuff like that. And it's still like, okay, I need to run around and I need to kill a bunch of these things. But it's been more interesting just kind of stomping around that world. It is very tough to see a scenario in which I get to the end of the, albeit very generous free trial, which is, I think I can just play up until you can play through like the base Realm Reborn game and the first expansion before you have to start paying.
Wow.
So it is a ton of content you can go through, but it's tough to see a scenario where I A, get through all that, and then B, want to pay $10-15 a month to stick with it.
Oh yeah.
Because eventually, I'm gonna get to that point where I have to do something with people, and I don't wanna do stuff with people. I do want to see all this content and stuff, but like there's a lot of burden involved in an MMO that I just is not tuned for the way that I want to play games. But I will continue to dick around with Final Fantasy 14 for free so long as they let me, and we'll see if my interest runs out before I run out of content.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, you two are sipping, I guess. So.
Fire away, Wheeze.
Don't have too much, obviously, but I went back to play Alan Wake's American Nightmare on July 4th.
Aw.
I was thinking about it.
How festive.
That game's still fun.
Yeah.
Festive.
Festive.
That's festive.
They just announced that new Alan Wake at some point in the last 2 months, I think.
Right.
3 months,
still
maybe?
need to play Control is the thing, too. Like, that's more on my mind than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, that Alan Wake's probably still quite a ways away.
That gameplay is still very satisfying, though. Like, that's specifically, I think I was thinking about that specific sulfur sound of the flashlight for a while, and I'm just like, you don't get that anywhere besides that game specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But most of my time has gone into A Link Between Worlds.
Oh, I remember that game.
Remember that game?
Yeah.
I was so there's a great movie called The Wolf House that came out a few years ago. It's an animated movie that's I've never kind of seen animation like it. It's basically like one house where animation can kind of pop up anywhere and the camera's moving in very interesting ways. Highly recommend if you just want to see just intensely good animation, but obviously that had me thinking about A Link Between Worlds, just the way that animation would flatten against walls and all that such. And boy, I know that there is a split between Breath of the Wild and Link Between Worlds, but of the two, I would love to see another Link Between Worlds one of these days. We can have both, but that
I am disappointed that I wish I liked A Link Between Worlds. I really wanted to, but I am also disappointed that we are not getting this sort of parallel Zelda path.
Yeah, I would love to see both of these like popping at the same time. I feel like that would make a lot of people. I don't know. It's
maybe after Breath of the Wild too. Maybe because I mean, like we got. I'm thinking what may have filled that slot is the Link's Awakening remake. As the off Zelda. So maybe, next one, though, we're still getting those HD remakes at some point of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess on Switch.
Better.
I was well, that was one of the things where I was just sort of like, oh, I'll check if that Wind Waker ever came to Switch, and I'm like, oh, apparently not. Okay.
Apparently it's done. It's ready to go whenever. They just...
Okay.
Yeah.
Sitting on a quarter when they need something, when they need something to sell.
Yeah, pretty
much.
It's
a low. Music's very good.
The music is very good. It's and visually, it's way more charming in motion than it was in stills. For me, and maybe this is probably a real stupid thing that I wish to God I could get over it because I really, really wanted to enjoy this game. It's the 360-degree movement with an analog stick.
Oh, okay.
It felt wrong. It just felt wrong and imprecise, and I want 8-way movement with a D-pad for a top-down Zelda. It feels broken to me otherwise. It's just me. It was a feeling thing.
Yeah, Dave, get over it. Get over it, Dave. Jesus, what are you doing to yourself?
What I'm complaining about Dread, so whatever. Yeah. But going back to it now, I don't know. Like it doesn't. 8-way is more precise, but there is a certain like freedom to that movement that feels nice. I'll say that to walking around.
Okay.
If that's
sure.
I'm not missing shots. I think that's the thing. Whereas like Binding of Isaac, I think would be like your far end of controls versus how it interacts with the world sort of thing. And I can thank you to spin motions and weapons that can hit a wide variety of the screen. I think my only problem is that I started New Game Plus because I'm just like, oh, hero mode. Okay, I'm a hero. And then I didn't realize that was twice as hard. So I just go back and dial it down.
Yeah, no, to their credit, they did a good job designing around it. Like it's not that is an impediment to playing the game. The game is designed perfectly to accommodate that style of movement. It doesn't feel good to me. It just feels bad. It's me. It's my problem.
Yeah.
My own impediment to enjoying nice things.
Yeah. Speaking of Zelda, I did fire up the Age of Calamity Hyrule Warriors.
Oh yeah,
Hyrule Warriors.
I tried the demo for that when that came out.
Yeah, because I was like, man, Live Alive comes out in like 2 or 3 weeks, and I have to play something on my Switch. What?
I'm like, came out like today.
Yeah. But in the past, when I needed something to play on my Switch, I was like, I need something that I'm going to play that is lengthy. That I'm not going to get too invested in. So.
Right.
This is probably
it was like maybe 2-3 days ago when I realized it was pronounced Live Alive and not Live Alive. I've been saying Live Alive for 25 years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Still do. Still getting used to it.
Switching around. Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently the katakana is not ambiguous. Like it is alive.
Yeah. Yeah, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is fine for dipping into some Zelda Warriors style combat, doing that thing.
Just play Persona Strikers.
Well, that game's, way better.
Right.
Well, that's the thing, because Persona Strikers isn't really like it like if you have Persona on one side and Dynasty Warriors on the other, like it actually meets in the middle, if maybe like a bit more towards the Persona side, whereas this game is they just painted over Dynasty Warriors with Zelda. Like it's more like that. Like they made like a cool hybrid with Strikers. But, because, it's a game where you got a big old map. There's lots of missions you can choose from. So I can choose to dip into a mission like that's going to take me 20 minutes or 5 minutes. Or I can just, check off some boxes where it's like, oh, I need materials to fulfill this quest over here. And it's just button presses in the menu. So it was just a very easy kind of mindless thing to go into. I did try playing it split screen with my child. That is a frame rate nightmare.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was, I guess, not a nightmare, but it was not great.
Well, let me ask, did you ever spend any time with the original, with Hyrule Warriors?
No, not really. Other than like a demo.
Okay. So Hyrule Warriors is a big hit in our house.
Yeah.
And it like compared to Age of Calamity, from what I've played of Age of Calamity, like Hyrule Warrior, they're virtually the same game, except for the fact that Hyrule Warriors is like a stupid, fun nostalgia trip through the entire history of Zelda games, whereas Age of Calamity just does some really stupid, dumbass things, recontextualizing the storyline of Breath of the Wild. And there are no frame rate issues with split screen on Hyrule Warriors. It runs like butter. I mean, it cuts it down to 30 frames per second in split screen, certainly, but we never have frame rate issues. And that game's a lot of fun. And there's such a wide variety of characters because it sort of spans the whole history of the games. We had borrowed it, we had rented it, and my kids loved it. And so when it got a really super rare 50% discount on a first party game, which is insane. I was like, my family likes this game enough to buy it. So we own it and we bust it out every now and then because it's a good, it's totally just a generic ass Muso game, but Musu
Live Alive.
Ico.
But Age of Calamity actively turned me off because I'm like, oh, they're going real just fucking anime stupidity with the way these characters are drawn because it's Tecmo Koei instead of Nintendo. And I don't like this. This whole thing is rubbing me the wrong way.
Yeah, see, I didn't really get into the original Hyrule Warriors because I was like, I'm not really into this kind of slap bang nostalgia trip that this game is. At least Age of Calamity is more grounded and directed in one thing, even if it's ridiculous in terms of what it doesn't do for the story of Breath of the Wild.
That's why I thought. That's why I thought I would like it better.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll if I get that. Because I also bought Age of Calamity when it was on the rare 50% first party discount. So I might do that for Hyrule Warriors because, my kid enjoyed it and he could just go in there and mash buttons on his own. And there is an interesting variety of characters. It's not just a bunch of sword guys. It's like, okay, Zelda does some magic stuff. And, each character has their own moveset. Like, I just got the giant Korok with maracas.
All right.
So that's pretty great. It's pretty great stuff.
See, Hyrule Warriors features Agatha, the butterfly catching girl from Twilight Princess, and she is the favorite character in my house. Rich, if you ever pick up Hyrule Warriors sometime and play that with Richard, I think he would get a kick out of that.
Yeah, maybe that will run better because it was built for the Wii U and Switch.
Exactly.
Mildly more powerful, but either way, it hit the spot of something that I could just jump into and play a little bit and not feel bad for walking away from and get a good amount. I still want to kind of just Fire. Even though Live Alive is here now, and I am much more interested in playing that, I'm still kind of like, maybe I'll bounce back into Hyrule Warriors when I'm done with this and do a few more levels. And it's not like
I still got to sit down with that demo to Live Alive. I haven't dug into that yet.
My thing with that demo is like it ended so abruptly that
each of the three do.
Yeah, it was like I had only started doing the Twilight of Edo Japan one, and it was just like I just walked through a door and it was like, okay, peace out. And I'm like, oh,
they all do.
Yeah. So when it did that, I was kind of like, you know what? I'll just wait for the regular game because I know I'm going to lose context for what I'm doing. And especially that Twilight of Edo Japan one is a wild freaking level.
That was my least favorite of the three. That I stopped on that one because I got my ass kicked.
Well, that's the thing. Apparently, that one is the hardest one.
Yes, it is.
And it is the most complicated because they just drop you in there, and they give you this huge castle that you can just explore. And there's a lot of stuff you can do, and you're encouraged to not kill guys, so you don't level up as fast. But there's places where there are enemies where you will, like, there's ghosts and demons that you can level up on. It's just, it's very interesting, but I think also maybe I will go and play through some other lives before I go back to that one, because that seems like crazy pants that they put that one as the demo, because that is,
right.
I just kind of, I was like, am I crazy, or is this game, like, impossible? And then I looked it up, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is the hardest part. This one, do it." Yeah.
That's where I was like, because it was the last one I tried. I'm just sort of like, nah, I'll wait until I buy the game or whatever.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna bounce and do some of the other stuff first. But it's I don't know. I'm still very excited to finally play that game. It seems very cool. I've only gotten to play one.
Right. Try the other two.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have the game, so I can do whatever the fuck I want. Yeah. Oh, Dave. Yeah. Do
you could.
I can live whatever live I want to live. The only other thing I've been playing that I want to talk about is, of course, the cat game.
That cat game.
Cat game, Stray.
Yeah. Man, jealous of that.
Yeah, it's a cool little game. I upgraded my goddamn fucking PlayStation Plus to play it. I spent money so I could get it for free.
A lot of people did that.
And what is the cost difference of doing that?
So, for me, and blessed Sony, like, anticipated that this was going to happen, and they prorate what they charge you. Like, it was very easy to do on just like there on the Sony, on the PlayStation, and it was just like, okay, I want to upgrade to extra, and they're like, okay, for until your thing renews, which I have like 260 days. I renew at around February, so it will be this cost, which was normally it is a $40 difference between base PlayStation Plus and extra, which is there's extra and then there's premium above that.
Yeah.
Yes, I think maybe just one would have been good.
And now then the difference between premium is that you get the back catalog of classic games, right? That you don't get with that. With extra, you just get a larger catalog of downloadable games.
Yeah, so this is the thing. So both extra and premium. So when you get extra, you get a collection. Like, you get like a Game Pass-esque library of games you can just fucking download. When you go to premium, it gets bigger, and many of those games are like classic library PlayStation, like 3 PSP games. That's what you get. And I feel like the difference is like, at extra, everything is something that can run natively on your PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Whereas when you go to premium, then it is a streaming gaming service. But that line seems pretty thin, and it's annoying because they don't break out those catalogs separately, and I couldn't see a way to filter it. So I'm just kind of going through it, and as my kid was saying, every game I want to play is premium. Yeah, but which is, well, it's not true, but a lot of the things that we were going through, it was just like, sorry, bud, no, that one's premium. I didn't. So it was under $25. I think it was like 24 or something and change to upgrade to extra for until February, which got me access to Stray.
Gotcha. So you are paying for a prorated portion of the year until you were set to renew anyway.
Yes, and then it will automatically renew for the full $100 or whatever.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, the way they do it is fine, and I think as much as people bag on it as being Game Pass but worse, one, that's true, but also Game Pass is really good. So if it's a little bit worse than Game Pass, it's still probably worth it if you don't have Game Pass and you have a PlayStation system. Like there was a lot of things scrolling through that I'm like, oh shit, that thing. I mean, there's plenty of first party, PS4 games I've already played, but there's some
right,
especially on the premium level. I was kind of surprised, like some of like the random shit that they had in there. But
random modern shit or random old shit?
Older shit. Not so much the modern. I hope that they do more stuff like Stray. I think this game has kind of been the big coming out party for the service on consoles.
Yeah, it's definitely like this is the use case for.
Yeah, this is.
I can't believe how popular. I mean, just in my workplace alone, because I was like the one talking about it when the trailer came out, and now that the game is out, everybody is just like, "Oh yeah, playing the fucking cat game."
Yeah, I think it's we're in the dead of July when nothing is coming out, and there is some meme-itude to it, like it's just the thing that everybody's talking about. But it's a very widely approachable game. You can you get in there and play as a cat, and
I think it's also this is the most savvy way to premiere it, is to put it on the subscription service, because would everyone be talking about it? So many more people have access to it and are giving it a chance than otherwise would if they had to pay for it out of pocket. So it kind of, begs that question of, how are the developers being compensated? Do they feel like they're missing out on sales? Are they happy and satisfied that it's probably getting a better reception than it would if people had to pay out of pocket? And to that, to the broader point, why do you make games? Is it more important to you that more eyeballs and hands get on your game, or is it more important to you that you turn a bigger profit?
Yeah, it's a weird thing with the whole services.
Yeah.
Right now, because it's like, well, yeah, you are, you're taking some like flat rate amount, or a lot of those contracts are mysterious. I think at one point, like the spreadsheet of like what Epic was paying developers for their games to appear free on the store got out there, so you could kind of look at that. But it's like, is it worth that lump sum to have your game featured like that? And I saw something about like the developers of Fury, the game bakers. Like there's like a DLC thing coming for Fury, and they weren't developing it for Xbox because that game didn't do much on Xbox, but it was free on PlayStation Plus when it on launch. So all these PlayStation Plus subscribers played the game there, me included. That's where I played the game. But and they were talking about doing it on Xbox, but it's like you can't get like featured on Xbox's game store, like unless you're a part of Game Pass. So it was just like, well, without any, there wasn't a lot of people that bought the game. There's no kind of incentive here. Like, never mind.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like sometimes, it's weird. I don't know.
Well, it's very similar to the problems with Netflix / streaming models. I think the biggest issues I've heard with Netflix specifically is just they don't push anything unless it's Stranger Things. You don't hear about it. Like they will spend no money on the marketing. Like it's the classic, oh well, you get exposure, cool sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I mean they've been particularly bad with firing animators the last few months. Netflix keeps making mistakes left and right. Sort of thing. But there is, I don't know, I think Max is giving people like tons of freedom, especially like animation wise. I think Gendy Tartakovsky just got a deal over there.
Oh, that's cool.
My transition is that Primal just came back, season 2. Did either of you see season 1?
Nope, still gotta watch it.
Blaze through it, man. It's some of the best stuff right now. It's so good. No dialogue. Don't got to worry about that.
Is it too violent for a child?
Yes.
Yep, and that's fine. Yeah, see, it's like
100%.
These things, all these violent things, I can only watch or spooky things. Really, yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
What about Cuphead? I mean, that's spooky show.
He's watched Cuphead. I've watched Cuphead with him. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he started playing Cuphead.
Ow.
He made it through. He made it. He's on the second island.
Okay.
But he's kind of run into a wall there. But hey, I didn't.
So did I.
I didn't think he'd make it through the first island. Really.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Just a spooky like I was I enjoyed the spooky and Cuphead show.
Yeah.
That second season or second part of the first season, whatever, comes back pretty soon too.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Now, Weiss, I don't want to derail your thought, but I do kind of want to circle back and because Tim, I'm curious about Stray, and I guess what I want to hear from Tim is whether you like in however much time you've spent with it, is this a game where you're like, yeah, I liked this for it being part of a subscription service, or is this kind of game where like, yeah, this game is so good I would have paid money for it and would have been glad?
Yeah, no, I think it would have been fine paying money for it. I mean, like, it is $30, and I think the game is like 5-6 hours long, which in my opinion is awesome. But I know to some people there's a $1 to time ratio that they don't like about that. But
compared to A Short Hike,
yeah,
which I loved.
Yeah.
So.
Well, for me, this is like, I really enjoy this type of game where it's like relaxing to play. Like, it's not like the puzzles aren't like killing me. It is just generally fun to cat about the environment, because they make all of your movement and like jumps are context sensitive, so there isn't like a jump button so your cat can just be randomly jumping around. It's like, oh no, there's a thing to jump onto, and then I will do a cat jump up to it. Like a little prompt will appear, or it clearly shows you the things you can interact with. Like, the only thing you can really do on your own is meow one, and like turn on your flashlight when you get one. Yeah, that's the whole thing. You get like a little robot buddy eventually.
Yes. Yeah.
It sounds like a game designed to be frictionless, if I can co-opt a sort of design parlance. Like that seems like it reduces some friction for players.
Yeah, like I have not gotten stuck at all, and at a push of a button, your little robot guy can come out and give you some advice, and just like, oh hey, this, and like you get to kind of like a central like little city area that is pretty dense, with characters and nooks and crannies you can get into, but it's not that sprawling and huge, and there's like things that give you there's like good landmarks around, so it's not like you're gonna get lost in there. And in the sections where you kind of leave that place and there is some more danger, like I am not finding them to be arduous, which isn't to say that I haven't died at all, but it's not killing me. It's just kind of like, okay, and I'm not getting frustrated. I'm just having a nice, smooth, relaxing time with the game.
How many lives did they give you? 9.
I mean,
this is the last thing somebody heard.
You do get an achievement for dying 9 times. I did see that in the trophy list, so there is that. But yeah, you can go around doing cat things like scratching on things, knocking shit over, rubbing against people's legs, meowing. Yeah, it's a super fun little game that it's extremely playable for anybody just to get in there. And
too powerful for the Switch?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
someday.
So. Yeah, probably.
But it's Sony exclusive right now, right?
It's PC and it's exclusive to Sony on console, but that's not gonna last. Maybe by the end of the year it'll be on who knows? With it being on Extra, maybe that. Be a longer time. Maybe it might be like a year on there, or longer. But yeah, I don't know. Exclusivity. It's like Tunic was not on. It's not on PlayStation until September. There was like a 6-month exclusivity window, and then it goes to PlayStation and probably Switch soon. Probably. Yeah, but Stray is fun. I've enjoyed it. I'm like a couple hours in, decent amount into the game. I've played a good amount of it at this point, so nice. I look forward to finishing it, which is a great thing to do. It's fucking finishing games. Yeah.
Well, you got me wondering when my the PlayStation Plus subscription expires, because maybe I can just do a prorated year and check out some stuff.
Yeah, get in there, screw around. Yeah, it's certainly not worth it. And I'm hoping that there will be more games they are going to put on there. Like, I don't think they're going to go to the length that Microsoft does, where there's like a game launching on Game Pass every week, pretty much, or every other week. That's a lot. But even if they have one every few months and it's a good high quality game that appeals to, well, I'll just say me. It can appeal to other people too. But as long as it appeals to me, well, that'll make it worth it. Then it doesn't take much to justify that extra $40 or so for Plus.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I only do the $20 Nintendo.
Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah.
That's enough for me.
Yeah.
So Tim, that's a cool shirt you're wearing there. Viewers, listeners. Tim's wearing an Elden Ring shirt.
I got it for Father's Day.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, because my child was trying to think of games that I like. His first thought was Rogue Legacy 2, because that's what I was playing closer to Father's Day, but there was a lack of merchandise for us, and the next place we went was Elden Ring.
It is a thoughtful chap.
Fan gamer, just something.
So earlier, Weiss and I talked about Strange New Worlds, because basically last we spoke, Weiss told me it was great and that I should check it out, and I did, and everything Weiss said was great about it is absolutely true. Tim, you told me about Elden Ring.
Yeah, how'd that go?
So I checked it out.
Yeah.
I got to spend a few hours with Elden Ring. I borrowed the PlayStation 4 version from my local library, because we've been hitting the library once a week in the summertime.
Yeah.
And it's great. Everything you told me about it is absolutely true. You were absolutely right when you said that this fucking Breath of the Wild style open world design is I'm going to use it again. Frictionless. There is less friction. There's less friction for me, and I enjoyed
still plenty
it more.
Of friction in that game.
There's a lot of friction. Believe me. But I definitely enjoyed my time with it more than any other Souls game, because of exactly what you said. That if something I'm banging my head against a wall on, just look in a different direction. There's plenty to catch the eye, and boy, what a looker this game is. Even on PS4, it's stunning. It's gorgeous. It is enticing to the eye in a way that, like, and I love the art style of Breath of the Wild. But boy, there is something just beautiful in the way that things glow and sparkle in Elden Ring. Just the world tree that dominates the sky, the way that the fallen ruins everywhere, contain secrets and are mysterious and captivating. In a lot of the same way that they were in Breath of the Wild, like there's a lot in Breath of the Wild that's like, oh, I can tell that there was something here, even if it's a little more generic in Breath of the Wild, unless, in Elden Ring, like, stuff has a look, you can tell, like, oh, this was a temple, and, like, it fell down at some point, and now there's a weird random monster roaming around on it. I'm going to stay away from him, because if he looks at me, I better fucking run. The minute I got that, I've been like exploring caves and getting lost and getting attacked by wolves. And once I stopped being scared of combat, I kind of got the hang of fighting soldiers, at least, which is something.
Yeah.
And and then I once I sort of stumbled upon what I believe is the first major boss you encounter. Maybe he's not even a boss. Maybe he's just a very large enemy. He's right. There's a gateway right after you get the horse.
Yep.
And there's this massive guy who leaps down from the precipice at you. Yeah. And I just fucking rode that horse just straight past him.
That's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Oh, good. I mean, the first, it took me, I missed the horse. I totally missed the horse first time, and I went in there and fucking got my ass handed to me. Then the second time I actually, I don't know what compelled me to sit down at the fire, maybe because I noticed a prompt inviting me to sit down at the fire, and I got the horse, and I'm like, oh, I could just fucking ride right past all those goddamn archers that were sniping me, and I just blazed through that troll and found, this these otherworldly vistas, the foggy cliffs with mysterious monsters just sort of lurking around, and giants rising up out of the ground, and it is a wonderfully, it's such a visually inventive game. It makes me want to keep playing, just to see what I will see next. I really just want to poke around at this world and see what else there is to see.
I kept waiting for a butt to show up here. Like, I was waiting for the butt.
The only but is that I have yet to master any, like, even soldiers and wolves still hand my ass to me, and a lot of the items and the crafting, in fact the whole goddamn menu is still feels very arcane to me, and that's probably because I never put a bunch of hours into Dark Souls or Bloodborne, which are the two.
Made it a lot better than it used to be.
Oh really? Oh okay, yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
So I still feel a little confused and lost in the woods, and that's my only but. And I had to return it to the library before I got the chance to sit down and spend more time with it. But next time I go to the library, I'm checking it out again if it's in, because I really want to just be in this place more. It's so captivating. I don't see myself succeeding at this game. I don't see myself even playing like 10 hours of it. I'll probably bail after 6 or 8, but I definitely will have gotten my time's worth and time well spent. Because this is just a wildly interesting, captivating, mysterious world to be in and to get lost in and to wonder at, like, what the fuck is that thing? Why is this here? It's wonderful. Everything everyone says about it, it's absolutely true. And it is easily for me has been the most accessible Souls game to date. So thank you for the recommendation.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I have to play that.
Now I want to play more Elden Ring. I installed it from my tiny little PlayStation 5 drive, so I have to reinstall it. Pardon.
Right, you do these things.
Play anything else there?
The only other thing I wanted to mention is that while I was at the library, I happened to notice my 10-year-old has been super into life simulator games, and we got a copy of The Sims 4 that was on PlayStation Plus that she dives into on PlayStation every now and then, and so I noticed at our local library one of the Story of Seasons games, which is what we call Harvest Moon now. So the original developers of Harvest Moon, they did not have the rights to the name Harvest Moon. They've continued to develop Harvest Moon games under the name of Story of Seasons. There are also still Harvest Moon games. Those are bullshit, apparently. The real Harvest Moon games are the Story of Seasons games. I've never played a Harvest Moon game before. All I've ever played is Stardew Valley. And so I didn't realize just how closely Stardew Valley hews to that template. Stardew Valley is a Harvest Moon game in all but name, effectively. And my daughter loved Stardew Valley. And so for her, playing this Story of Seasons, it is the most recent Story of Seasons game. It's Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town, I think it's called. It's on Switch, and it's polygonal. So for her, this feels like playing a next-gen Stardew Valley. She's like, oh, Stardew Valley, those old sprites. No, this is the modern game. Look at this. So for her, it's an amazing upgrade. And yeah, it is Stardew Valley. It is, visually, I guess, more modern, and that's more appealing to my kid who likes polygons better who has no nostalgia for sprites and just gravitates more to polygonal games.
That's funny because my kid likes 2D games more than 3D. They're easier.
That's cool.
They're easier for him to navigate.
Yeah.
In the 3D spaces.
No, that's right.
Not that he doesn't play plenty of 3D games, but he generally he likes. He's more willing to jump into a game with 2 dimensions because it's easier for him to comprehend. Yeah.
Man, I think my kids find that limiting. A 2D plane. They're like, why can't I go everywhere?
Interesting.
But yeah, no, it's
everywhere
really
is a matter of perspective.
Oh man, that's deep. But so she liked it so much, having it for like 2 days from the library. She said, how much does it cost to buy this game? And so we looked it up, and we found that the collector's edition happened to be on sale on Amazon for $10 off, and it came with a cloth poster that is hanging up in her room right now, and a stuffed animal, which was too much to resist. Wow. So yeah, she's been getting up early every morning, grabbing the Switch out of the dock, and working on her farm.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And that's it, I think.
The only things of note, there it is, Pioneers of Olive Town.
Yeah.
I wonder if my kid would dig that. He did really like Animal Crossing. But, that kid, he's fucking all over the place with what games he's playing from week to week. He does not...
That kid.
He just spins the wheel, circles around, doesn't finish things. He's played through Pokemon Sword, 3 times now. I think he's on his 3rd time around in that game. No, in terms of things that I actually watched, I did watch the Oopadoo. Yeah. I did watch the end of Stranger Things, and I did like it. So that was good.
Well, okay then.
Cool.
Yeah. Those
go back to season 3.
Yeah, that fucking last episode is 2.5 hours long. It's just like, holy shit.
Dang.
Yeah, it is.
I've heard it's good.
It is. It is. No, it is good. I just had to plan for that. With
that would not be one evening, probably.
I had to, because I had planned to. I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch both episodes on Saturday night, because that's the night that I had nothing, because that was 4th of July weekend. I knew that Sunday night I was taking the child to see the fireworks, and I knew that Monday night I would have to go to sleep so I could work the next day. So I was like, no, there's no way I could do that. But and Friday night's AEW Rampage. So
how steady you were with Rampage.
Yeah. So Saturday night was like, okay, that's when I'll watch both episodes. Then I was like, oh wait, watching both episodes is 4 hours of time. So I watched most of episode, the second to last episode Friday night, then the last 20 minutes of it, and then all of the last episode on Saturday night. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I also saw Thor: Love and Thunder. Which
I have not.
Weiss, you are not going to like this movie.
I heard it's very jokey instead of anything else.
Yeah, it's like if that was too much for you in Ragnarok, it's going to be way too much for you in Love and Thunder.
It's not the amount; it's that it just didn't work in Ragnarok. Aside from Goldblum.
Well, maybe I don't know.
I'll give it a shot, but I'm waiting until Plus on that.
Yeah. No, I'm not dissing Love and Thunder, really. I think Lauren put it best. She's like, oh, that made me forget about the hellscape of our world for 2 hours while we were in that theater. And I was like, yeah, it did. It was entertaining and goofy and very low stakes Marvel shit. Even though it had kids in a creepy cage, from something out of an 80s fantasy movie.
No, low stakes are good. Yeah. I want Marvel to do more low stakes. Right. Yeah. If low stakes, that was what I liked about Ms. Marvel. There's no cataclysms.
There was a cataclysm coming, but it didn't feel like it. It all feels.
What did ASX through a portal?
Just the very, the very tone of the movie. It's still despite there being Gore, the God Butcher, who was a great character in the comics, by the way.
Most people liked the villain more than anything.
Yeah,
people that like the movie were all about that.
Yeah, but it's like you don't feel like, despite him being a menacing villain, it's like you just given kind of the light nature of the movie, you don't feel like there's danger. There is some menace, but you don't feel like there's oh my god, the world's gonna fucking end, oh god. Even though that's the dude's he's nefarious end goals, but it's So
the criticism that I've heard most is that it is a dangerously self-indulgent movie. It's the Taika Waititi almost getting up his own ass with his shtick. But I also have to wonder if that criticism is coming from people for whom these characters are more precious than they would be to someone like me, who doesn't really have a history with any of these characters, and I don't really care. I will happily see Thor in any context.
I think the go-to argument for the non-critic folk is the word pretentious or masturbatory, and I feel like people don't really know what that means. I feel like people are like, this movie feels like they were making a movie and I didn't connect with this movie, so it must have been for them because it wasn't for me.
Yeah. They didn't make this movie for me.
I just see this about anything. It's going to happen with Nope in a week. I can almost guarantee it. Sort of thing. Which is great. I saw that. We can.
I do want to see that, but yeah.
I really want to see that.
Obviously, horror. Yeah, it's a thing I have to find time for. But
Lauren can do this one.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Like I think she'll be freaked out at a couple spots, but it's not hard horror. It's more early Spielberg kind of thriller.
All right.
So like, it can be freaky, but it's not like, it's not gory. Yeah. It's not. Us was definitely way more.
I still got to see that.
Oh, I haven't seen Us.
No, I haven't.
I
love that contrast of reactions. Dave's like, "Oh my god," and Lisa's like, "Eh."
My thing with Us, like, the performances were great. It was shot really great. It was just really mucky. It felt like it was thematically trying to do 1,000 things, and it didn't connect with any of them for me by the end. I felt very similarly about the Suspiria that came out that same summer, and I think that might have been, I don't know if he wrote that before Get Out, but it had that like first movie feeling where you're trying to throw in everything at once, sort of. I just felt like Nope was way more focused, and that's and Get Out to hear. Well, but yeah.
I really liked Us, but I would agree with that assessment that it lacked the focus of Get Out, but Get Out's a pretty perfect film, so it's hard to top that.
It's almost mean to compare to Get Out at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I did the same thing when I got out of the theater, but yeah. No, and that's the thing, is like, my complaints with Us, it's still better than probably most of the stuff that was out that weekend.
Yeah.
But I see, like, yes, if you take Thor deadly seriously, like, I can see where you know, Taika Waititi does not. But the thing is, they did 2 movies where they took Thor, and the mythology of Asgard pretty seriously, and those were kind of flat.
Yeah, but there was see, that's my thing, is like, those were bad movies. Like, that's the thing. It wasn't because they took him seriously. I think it's almost the opposite, where it's Marvel, so everybody's quipping.
Yeah.
So, like, it undercuts a lot of what could work with Thor, why Thor works in, or has worked in comics, whatever sort of thing.
But this one is super dismissive of that stuff, where it's just like, it's not even, it's just like, it's like recapping when, like, Hogun and Fandral and Volstagg died, and they're just like, oh yeah, these guys, whoever they were, they're dead, and like,
I hate that already.
Yeah. See, just, that was my, like, one of my least.
They make fun of. Yeah. I don't know. Like, that's bad scene work to me.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah. No, I did not like that. I was just like, okay, that's like a little bit much, like, to just like dismiss those characters. And there's like a part where Sif pops up and Thor is just kind of like, like there's this. It's like the it's the world of Taika Waititi's Thor, like, grinding up against, like, what Thor was before he took control, and it's just like, it is abrasive when those two meet. When they're separate, it's like, fine, whatever, because there's not much of it left. Their Asgard is now resettled on Earth and is this goofy kind of tourist attraction type deal. But he has the characters that he wants to go off and adventure with and do things, and Thor's gone through a lot since then. So I
mean, the stuff that Taika works best when he has that strong emotional core. Wilder People, JoJo, all the Reservation Dogs, which I'm super psyched for that second season coming very soon. That's why I'm like, make your Thor, make tons of money. Like, he's our flag means that. It's all that stuff where he's very good at making stereotypically, like, masculine characters like vulnerable without making fun of the vulnerability, without it being shitty gay joke.
And that's
that is an incredibly apt way to put that.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
That was flawless. Yes, that's what he does.
And that's what I like about it, is that and the stuff that, makes articles pop up on the internet warning parents that Thor is too woke.
Yeah, exactly. See, and that is exciting stuff to me.
Yeah.
It's, and those are like, that's what I mean, low stakes too, where it's like, I don't care about Thor killing someone unless that person is like the Vision Scarlet stuff is affecting because that's affecting them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whatever, if he's snapping his fingers in a city in the distance is disappearing, whatever. Sort of thing. Just seeing that affect somebody personally, I feel like Taika, in his best, can do that. So
yeah, and I felt like by the end of Ragnarok, it's like there had been something of a character journey for Thor in that movie, and that's here too. It's just there's a lot of there's a lot of tomfoolery in the middle, and the whole scene with like Zeus's. It goes on for a bit.
There's stuff that can like work. I think like I don't know, and obviously like I think those of us that liked Multiverse of Madness are in the minority, but like
God.
It sucks. But
here we are again.
Like that's here we are again. But it was a great example of like there's really really funny stuff, but it's not quippy. Yeah. It's and the stuff that is quippy didn't land for me as well. Mm-hmm. Like it's versus Doctor Strange in No Way Home, or No Way Home like making fun of Otto Octavius's name. I'm just like, sure. It's just like making fun of your own thing because you can't be earnest right now. You have to have a sense of like irony or be above the material or that sort of thing. Like that
you
stuff.
You have to do a wink and nod that this is a silly, ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like God, there was something that I don't remember. I feel like there was something else recently that kind of did that. That was just like, well, why are you making fun of this thing if it's like this is your universe? Like,
that's the thing. Yeah.
Why did you agree to make this movie if you're just going to make fun of the
content,
the material?
Of
it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it used to be the old critique of comic book stuff in the first, or of DC specifically, especially something like Green Lantern, where you're like, well, why are you doing Green Lantern if you're mostly setting it on Earth? And it just felt like you were embarrassed that you're making a Green Lantern movie, or whatever your property was, sort of thing.
Yeah. Oh, this is driving me nuts that I can't remember the thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You see that Wakanda Forever trailer?
Yeah. I wish that was the. I wish that was the entire thing. I wish they didn't announce their slate. I wish they would have just like showed up to the podium, played that. Saturns are out. It's great. Yeah. We walk away, but yeah, they let Ryan Coogler make an actual like movie that looks like a movie.
Yeah, that like those.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful looking movie. And
yeah.
I was surprised with like how because I had just been talking to my coworker, like we were reviewing the upcoming slate, as it were, and we were like, God, what's because whenever a movie comes out, we're like, well, okay, what's the next thing that we got to think about? It's like, oh, it's that Black Panther movie. Like, oh, geez, like what's gonna happen with that? Like, where are they going with it? What's going on? And it's just like, oh, apparently, like they're simultaneously, grieving the loss of T'Challa in the universe as well as here. And I know there is some debate that rages whether they should have just recast him, and I feel that would have been really hard for this movie.
I was in the boat. They shouldn't have made another one.
Yeah,
like until this trailer.
Yeah,
like just leave it at the one Black Panther movie, because there is so much weight on this sequel.
Mm-hmm. But I think they're with this entire with the next 3 phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe being the multiverse saga, there's lots of room.
I am so checked out.
There's lots of room to yoink in some other Black Panther that meets your cinematic universe needs. But
see, that's the danger of time travel and multiverses.
Yes.
Because now we have no weight. Because if somebody dies, why would anyone care?
Yeah.
Right? If they do it too flippantly.
Yeah. Well, put a pin in that for a second. But I think it's good that at least for, this movie, like, we are going to not do that. They are going to pause and like have the nation of Wakanda react to this, even though they could have just had, T'Challa, like, I think it just would have been so weird for this movie to just go on and be like, yep, here's new T'Challa. Yep, we're just going to do it. Like, even for...
Right. Yeah. No, it felt like this was going to be a complete mess. And it still could be just a great trailer, but It
is a great trailer, and
It's a great trailer, and I feel like Kevin Feige is smart enough to just let Ryan Coogler make a movie without sprinkling in all the things. That's my hope.
Yeah, well, it's like because that first Black Panther made like $1 billion. It's one of their biggest movies, so it's like if you're just gonna like, okay, you did it, you made the $1 billion. Here's you can do whatever the fuck you want with your movie. Pass. I'm hoping, but
unfortunately, it doesn't always work like that.
No.
Is the thing.
Yeah.
Like, Spider-Man 3. Like,
yes, that's true. Sure.
Yeah.
But in this case, I'm hoping that they just that they handled. I hope that after seeing that movie, I'll be like, okay, this was handled appropriately. You made a banger ass movie. Like everything with the Atlanteans looks better than it should be for a bunch of goofball fish people.
I know. Like I don't care about Namor at all.
Me neither. No. He's a dork.
He's a dork. So like him being in that trailer was the least interesting part of it.
But his design looks, better than just guy in trunks.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's setting up Secret Wars shit and all that.
Maybe. I don't know.
But I'm much more interested in just spending time in Wakanda. Yeah.
Yeah, it's... Yeah, so this is apparently, to get into some of the general thing, this is apparently the end of Phase 4, a phase which I barely felt started.
People have a lot of opinions on.
Yeah, it's weird. The whole thing has been...
Stop saying phases.
Yes, at this point. Well, it's like, it made sense back when there was, like, the bookends of Avengers movies to build, like, okay, everything is building to this Avengers movie, everything's building to this Avengers movie.
But now we're building to 2.
Yeah, but they're building to 2 at the end of the 6th phase.
Sure.
Which is... All right, so I watched half the trailer with the sound off after I saw you tweet it, Tim, so I haven't watched, but I'm going to watch it right now so that I can...
With the sound on. You got to watch it with the sound on. Yeah. We'll talk about this other shit. But yeah, like, and one of the complaints is of these movies, which has been Black Widow and Shang-Chi and Eternals and Strange and Spider-Man and now and Thor. It's just like, they don't appear to be building to anything in particular. They're just kind of like... Or half of them are. Obviously there's some multiverse stuff going on in some of them, but not in others. And like...
The thing is, I like that.
Yeah.
Like that's... And I wish that they were more separate. But that's not what... Marvel has been training people in a specific language of watching Marvel movies. Yeah. And so people get excited for that. Like, it's like watching the What If episodes where they couldn't resist, And I still like that ending. But I was liking when they were separate, personally, anyways.
Yeah, and that's, I think it's fine if it's like, oh, only a couple movies here, like only, Multiverse of Madness and Loki and maybe Spider-Man. Those are the ones that are really tied into the overarching thing right now, and like Shang-Chi and Eternals and like Thor is kind of doing its own thing. They're detached from that. I think that's fine. And it's just like a weird mishmash of things. They feel, I guess they feel forced to kind of like pull them all together.
Well, because they always have been, but people are noticing now. Yes. That's the big difference.
Yeah, so it was very weird to me that they went out and announced that, like, oh yeah, in 2026 is when I think it is, like, it matters.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, there's gonna be 2 Avengers movies. Like, we're doing Avengers movies in 2026. Like, but we're announcing nothing else from that quote phase of movies. Yeah. And all the others, like from Phase 5, those had all already been announced, up to and including Blade. So that was just kind of reconfirming things that already exist and just putting out the timeline now after, now that we're might as well be post-COVID because nobody gives a shit. Yeah,
I am raised, but I know
it's. Yeah. I actually saw, I had a Facebook memory today about because they must have, this is from like 8 years ago. They must have just unveiled like the roadmap to Infinity War and Endgame, and I was just thinking about like how much more exciting that seemed at the time than this.
Yeah. Oh, that's
the trailer was pretty good.
Yeah,
isn't that? I was gonna say you need that song blending into that other song.
Yeah.
Nah, and I know that I'm less Marvel enthusiastic than a lot of people, so it's interesting to see, what's grabbing people. I'm just like, I liked Wanda a lot. Do I care about an Agatha spinoff show?
We'll see.
Like, I'm just like, I'm burnt out. Like, I look at that slate and like somebody did like a mock that was just like just blacked everything out and said like, no, Marvel just says we're not doing fucking anything, and I felt relief. It felt like closing browser tabs.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I'm trying to think. I didn't really like Moon Knight all that much.
Which is, I've heard that a lot. Which sucks because I like the people that made it, but I skipped it.
I gave up on it halfway.
It kind of came and went. I like Moon Knight more when he is not surrounded by a bunch of Egyptian mythology shit. I like it when you take Moon Knight and his personal Egyptian mythology shit and put it in a completely different context. Like when he's just doing street hero shit in New York, that's way more interesting to me than what they did in that show.
That's kind of my same thing with people like Thor and Doctor Strange, where I'm more interested in seeing that contrast of, straight person, absurd person, or environment, that sort of thing. Yeah.
I still have to watch Ms. Marvel.
Me too. All right, we won't talk about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. So Lauren is also in super Marvel burnout mode, so like it's she just doesn't want to like. Just like,
that one's
and I've heard that one's
easier.
Good. Yeah.
It's the writing isn't. I don't know. Like that's the thing is like it's not. You're watching because you love the casting of Ms. Marvel and her family. Yeah. Like that stuff is very, very good. The writing doesn't have some of the pitfalls of the Marvel shows, but it also isn't like why you're watching. Whatever. Like it's an easier show to throw on, and it didn't feel as superhero-y, burnout for me anyways.
Yeah,
so
it's like, Hawkeye was fine.
Forgettable was my word.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, that's
as good comments.
Like Loki, I think is still one of my favorites of the shows. I really like Loki, really like WandaVision. So it's, some things hit, some things miss, which is fine. It's just there's a lot of it.
There's a lot.
Of it, and they're trying to tie all of them into the central mark, and that's a mistake when you keep adding more and more stuff.
Yeah, I wonder where it'll, because it's like, you're doing 2 more Avengers movies. Who the fuck is in the Avengers right now? Like what is that?
Yeah.
How many dump trucks of money are you going to back up to Robert Downey Jr.'s house to get him back in the movie in some way, shape, or form?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky. I mean, like I'm more watching other people watch right now. Like I'm picking and choosing, which is very different than what they want. They want you to watch because of this other thing.
Yeah, they want you to watch everything.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, maybe by doing this, they're having their cake and eat it too. You know, I mean, I think they're definitely by default going to get a lot of their audience who is going to watch everything. But then there's just so much of it. There's so much Marvel content that they're going to rope in people who are into it more casually. People like me, frankly, who, like I'm interested in WandaVision, but I'm not going to watch the shows that I'm not interested in. You know, I'm interested in Ms. Marvel, but I'm never going to watch Hawkeye.
Yeah.
So I think really it's a win-win for them. The more content they've got, the more eyeballs they've got on their stuff.
No, I mean, like they're fine. I think Disney Marvel will be okay. I mean, it's one of those things that's come up where, Marvel can over-explain things a lot, and it drives me mad. But also that makes it better to sell overseas because it's simpler for another language to pick up and follow.
Yeah,
which is frustrating on an artistic side, but they will go on and on.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
don't know. I'll keep watching their stuff because here I am. I'm your sucker.
my frustration is just like it. You watch other stuff though.
Yeah.
Like, and there's a lot of people, and obviously it's really, really hard when you have kids and you're like scheduling a babysitter to do all that stuff. But I definitely know people that will only go and see Marvel stuff, and that is a bummer.
Yeah, it's just nice because like Marvel stuff is stuff I can bring the child to, even though they have the swears. It's like, he really liked Love and Thunder. Like any time where there was fighting and Guns N' Roses playing, he was having the time of his fucking life. Like, but then it's like he's like he wants to go see DC Super Pets, and I'm like, all right, kid, maybe.
Right.
That's less.
Well,
I want to go see Nope. I don't think I can take him to that.
Yeah, and that's what's hard. I mean, like, who's that? Guillermo del Toro was talking about that, where it's just like you can't make a movie it's so hard to make a movie just for adults now.
Yeah.
Like, so many movies are trying to have their cake and eat it too, because so many can get away with it. Where it's just sort of like, oh, okay, I can bring the kids. We're gonna make more money. Studio's gonna okay this over, Super Pets is, the Rock voicing a animated dog. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like that's gonna be a-okay. But
what surprised me was hearing a lot of my neighbors who have kids a few years older than mine talking about how they took their kids to see Top Gun Maverick, which is a movie that would not on my radar in any way for any reason. Like, to me seems like the most just engineered mass market, let's revive this old thing that people probably around my age have nostalgia for, but I don't know, not me. I feel like I miss nostalgia for it by a few years.
I don't think I've ever even seen Top Gun.
I've never seen Top Gun.
Yeah.
You guys are different group. Because it's the same reason people are going to Marvel stuff. It's a big action spectacle, and it's supposed to be very, very well shot. Like I feel like I missed out not watching it. Like
it seems like people love that movie. Like it's made a ton of fucking money.
Oh, it's supposed to be really, really good.
Yeah.
My nostalgia for Top Gun is more the music than the movie itself. Like the movie itself is really fun, but it's not one that hits me where I'm just like, yeah. But also, if you drive with Mahoney anywhere, you will listen to the entire Top Gun. It's and it's Ken's theme. It's Ken's theme and Electron's theme. It's great. I just wasn't, I'm being picky and choosy what I go see during the COVID times. I went and saw Nope with like 3 other people in the theater, which was really, really nice on that end of thing. Can't recommend that one enough.
For me, it's going to be Nope is going to be an easier sell for me to get Jan to go to a theater with me to see that than Crimes of the Future, which is the other movie currently in theaters that I really, really want to see, but I know Jan just won't like it.
Yeah. I mean, it's making back to pretentious. Like, people will be split whether they think the movie is pretentious or making fun of pretension. I'm on the second side, but I feel like Jan might be on the first. So
Yeah.
That one's a harder side. Like the thing with Nope is you can tell that that Jordan Peele is an auteur who wants to do his own thing, but he also loves populist filmmaking. Like it's very like it's kind of a perfect blend of some Tarantino, like better Tarantino and early Spielberg-y stuff, just at least in like tone. And it's cool to see that in the theaters and to see that it's drawing people in, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I really want to see
Obviously, I don't want to spoil shit.
Either of you guys watch this show, The Bear?
No, not. I watched the first like 5 minutes, and then I was like, "Oh, I can't watch this at work. This is actually really good."
All right.
The show, people's talking.
Yeah. So many people were talking about it. Jan and I like binged it in like 3 days.
I heard that Ellie is crazy.
It's, I mean, the penultimate episode, the second to last episode, is
that 7?
That's 7. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So people are talking about this because it is. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. It is. My God. It like 20 minutes in real time, no cuts. It's one of those magical things on TV that you just don't see often. So
yeah, I didn't know what specifically. I just knew people said it was intense.
Oh yeah, the whole every episode of that show is a heart attack. But yeah, that one episode, just man, and the whole show is great. But that one episode, it is exactly 20 minutes. It is fully real time. There are no camera cuts, and it's astounding to watch. It is breathless television. It's magical.
People love. That's the thing, is like you can do the long shot as a gimmick, and I feel like we've had kind of a gulf since I guess 1917 was the last one that people were talking about, and I feel like most shows kind of have like one episode where they play with it a little bit, and sometimes it doesn't. But like when it, because I know what that show is as well, like it works contextually. Like if it's organic, like that shit rules. Like it's great. Not to switch off of The Bear, but the only
that's it.
Only other show have you watched, and I would, if you watch this with Jan, I'm dying to hear her opinion of The Rehearsal.
She's dying to see it. She loves Nathan Fielder.
It is the best thing right now. It is. You want to talk about Yes. Oh my God. Tell me when you guys watch it.
All right.
The second
we will have watched it by the next time we have a podcast.
Second episode came, like I'm watching it right after Rampage too. Like it is AEW Rampage ends. That is the second that it goes up on Max. It's the difference is budget more than anything. Like whereas Nathan For You felt like they gave him $5 in a tin can, Max is like, here is every dollar that you've ever wanted to do what you want.
That's great. Jan actually uses an episode of Nathan For You as a lesson at school.
Which one? Finding Francis or
no? There's one where he makes a fake video about, I think, a dog rescuing a pig. Or maybe the other way around.
Yeah.
And they build this elaborate channel for the animals to swim in, and so it's a lesson about like what is and is not credible on the internet. So it's an information literacy lesson. Oh,
great! Congratulate her on that. That is very smart. Yeah. I mean, that is one of the things the show is doing in a way. Is being like, what's true, what's not. I mean, one of the best episodes is when he tricked the late night show story. Did you see that one?
No.
So I think it was the last season, because he's going like, well, the network wants me to go on a late night talk show and I'm nervous. So I did a lot of research about what makes a good late night show interview. But what it is him metatextually breaking down like all these celebrities telling basically the same fucking story through the years, where they're just sort of like, I got pulled over by the cops and they pulled out this baggie and they thought it was cocaine, but it wasn't. And like, so specifically, he's just like, this got the best reaction from the crowd. This happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. And then, of course, because it's Nathan Fielder, he's just like, well, I don't want to lie, so I need to make sure that this actually happens. So the whole episode is like him getting a fat suit so that this can happen. So that, like,
that's fantastic.
But it's fascinating. And he didn't tell Jimmy Kimmel until the episode of Nathan For You aired. So they thought it was an actual interview for about a month and a half until that came.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm going to have to track that down.
It's good. Yeah, so that's...
But yeah, we will be watching the rehearsal imminently. We just wrapped The Bear last night. The rehearsal is pretty much next on deck, so...
It's also a heart attack in a couple ways, so...
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's 10 o'clock. Yep, anybody, anything else? Yeah.
I got to go night-night. I got to go nap. I'm going to go work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh. No fun.
Oh.
12-month school employee. No summer off.
Well. Yeah. That's the life.
That's the life.
That's that 12-month life.
That's 12-month life. No, I just get to get off whenever I want to. Which could be the summer. I just don't want it to be. All right.
All right, gang. Hey, thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening.
We've been your hosts.
We have been, and now we're something else entirely.
I've been eating pizza this entire time, but I've been backing away from the mic. Have you guys been able to hear me chew?
No,
I did not. I did see you eating. Did see you doing
some chomping. You did see me eating. All right, so if I do this, can you hear me chew?
Only when you do that.
But if I'm back here?
No.
Nope.
All right, that's the magic of a noise gate.
Yeah.
Hardware noise gate.
If you throw your face right up there on that mic, then I will hear the sounds of you chewing, and it's gross. But back there, you can do whatever you want with that food in your mouth.
Listeners, I've got the technology, all right, to protect your ears. That's why I do what I do.
Well, that's an episode. I'm sure plotting next month is going to be fun because it's the end of August when all hell's breaking loose in mine and David's lives.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but we'll see. I'm sure we'll figure it out. But until
we'll figure it out. We'll do it.
We'll do it.
Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you later.
Ta.